Our advice to everybody is you should be having somebody with experience and knowledge, and you should be getting that person before you actually report your claim. For instance, the hurricane. Hurricane affects their property. They don't know what it's going to take to rebuild.
So I call you up. I have all this damage to my house. I really don't exactly know what to do other than seeing the water all over the place and everything smelling terrible.
Number one is generally trying to put them in touch with somebody who can go out there and do mitigation work so that there's no additional damages going on. You're not going to lose something to, looting. You want to protect the property. We're going to make contact with the insurance company. We're going to do a lot of things for the individual.
Tom Morgan Sr. In this particular episode of Trial and Error, we're going to discuss how to handle either the difficult client or those instances where you have a conflict between, say, the client's perception of the policy and what the policy says and the way they want you to handle their case.
There are certain companies out there that, I think that you can go get those types of coverage. It's just not very common, and it's something that is not readily available.
Okay, so then that sort of leads me to the obvious question of, okay, I've got my policy, okay, with all these different categories and complications and things I don't understand, and now the storm has come and I have damage to my house. How do I know if I need an attorney or I can just call my insurance company? Where do I draw the line, or what should I be looking for to recognize that I have a problem and I need something more than relying on the insurance company to come out and pay me the damage I've suffered?
Well, our advice to everybody is you should be having somebody with experience and knowledge assisting you in regards to your claim. And you should be getting that person before you actually report your claim. And that, we like to say, call the lawyer, because we can provide that service.
Who's that person? I mean, who comes out and tells me what to do? Is it the insurance company? You're going to call the insurance company and have them send somebody?
Well, what happens is in the instance where our clients are reaching out to us after an event, generally what's happening is let's take, for instance, the hurricane. Hurricane affects their property. They know they have a claim. They know that they've been damaged. They don't know what extent it is. They don't know what it's going to take to rebuild because they're not.
Okay.
They don't have the nuance for that.
So I call you up, okay, and say, listen, I have all this damage to my house and I really don't exactly know what to do. I don't know how to fill out the paperwork to file my claim with my insurance company, and I don't know how to get it repaired, and I don't know what the value or cost is for all of the damage, not to mention, other than seeing the water all over the place and everything smelling terrible, and I can see that a lot of the furniture is ruined, I don't know what the damage is. So then what do you do? Call me back when the water goes away?
No. So we're going to do a lot of things for the individual. Number one is, if they're in the situation where the property is in that kind of disarray, we generally are not only sending somebody out there to do an inspection and document the condition of the property, but we're also generally trying to put them in touch with somebody who can go out there and do mitigation work, which is either drying out the property or boarding up the windows or putting a tarp on the roof so that there's no additional damages going on. You're not going to lose something to, looting. You're not going to lose stuff to, animals coming and going because there might be food or something around. So you want to protect the property. In addition to that, once we've got that set up, we're going to make contact with the insurance company. We're going to advise them that there is a property. This person has been affected by the storm. And we'll coordinate with them in regards to having their representatives go out to the property at the same time that we have somebody out there, so that we can look at the property simultaneously with them, walk them through the loss, and make sure that they have a full understanding of what the totality of the claim is at the outset. We may not know the full valuation of what it's going to take to repair the property yet, but at least we've got the understanding of what the scope is by going out there, documenting, and showing the insurance company, so they've had an ability to have an understanding of what they're going to be looking at.
Who do you send out there to take a look and document the damage and try to figure out what the value
Well,
of the appraisal.
we send people out there that we call evaluators. So most of the time, those are people who are licensed public adjusters or they're contractors,
Okay,
and
yeah,
they
we
have
hear the word public adjuster, so that's different than an insurance adjuster.
correct insurance adjuster. A lot of times referred to as an IA is a person who works for an insurance company. Their sole responsibility is to go out there and document on behalf of the insurance company and make a determination as to what the whether or not they believe the value is there to overcome your deductible, or even make a determination as to whether there should be coverage or not for your loss.
And
And
what is
a public adjuster
adjuster is what?
is a person who works for the individual policyholder. So that person is being hired at whatever rate on their claim to basically do the same thing that the insurance adjuster does for the company. They're doing it for the homeowner because the individual does not necessarily know how to fill out their paperwork, how to even put the estimate together. They don't understand what the nuances of the policy are in regards to what should be covered or not covered under those terms. So a public adjuster is a good person to put into that space that allows the assistance for a person to basically put their claim together and get it submitted. And so we at the Morgan Law Group work a lot with public adjusters. A lot of times our clients they call public adjuster first. Um, Public adjusters are usually looked at as providing a good service at a lower rate than what most people believe a lawyer is going to cost them.
Who's gonna help me remove all of the damaged furniture, personal property, and take down, some of the wall, coverings and take up the tile to get it out of there so the place can dry out and be in a condition so that rebuilding can take place.
Right. So that's generally the most of that's going to be covered by hopefully a mitigation company. We call that's the company that's most people are familiar with a ServPro or a Belfor,
Oh, okay.
Service Master. Those type of companies would generally provide those type of services. They're coming in. They're going to, again, if you have a hole in your roof or it's severely damaged or maybe leaking, they're going to tarp it. But they'll also tear out all the damaged areas. They'll tear out the drywall, and then they'll do a dry, put in humidifiers and fans, dry it out. If they need floor coverings that need to be pulled out, such as rugs, because those things are going to get mildew, they pull those out and they'll dispose of those things. So, and there's a number of companies out there. I use those because those are the largest name, but
Okay.
a lot of times those
Yeah,
are
we've
the
seen
ones
those.
working for insurance
Okay.
companies.
Now, will Morgan Law Group coordinate and organize that, or will they just call them up and say, "Here, Service Pro, call Mr. Jones because he's got a claim and he's got a lot of water and this kind of damage and that kind of damage"?
No, so um, we want people to rely on us to put that together. Our goal is that we are going to coordinate with the different individuals and companies to manage your claim in regards to not only what needs to be submitted to the insurance company, but as you say, what needs to be done to mitigate the property, to safeguard it, to put it in a condition so that you can hopefully get to that stage of rebuilding. And then again, as your course of your claim is going on, we're going to assist with you as you get bids from contractors or individuals to do certain types of work or for materials to upgrade and supplement your claim so that we're maximizing making sure that you're getting the proper payment from the insurance company.
So now I need to ask you about an issue that's always dear to my heart, but as a homeowner, dear to the homeowner's heart too. Who pays for all this? Who pays, all of this lawyering that's going to coordinate and do all of this and haul away the materials and set up everything so it can get rebuilt and file my claim with the insurance company? If the lawyers who's going to pay them? Who's going to pay the public adjuster? Who's going to pay the remediation people?
So generally, we work on a contingency basis. Usually public adjusters do as well. There's a few states where they're not allowed to work on contingency and they're hourly, but we work throughout the country on a contingency basis. So we are working with you to recover on your claim, and then we're taking a percentage of whatever the recovery is. So it's our goal to maximize your recovery because we know you need every single dollar. And the fact is that, you know, we unfortunately, because we are going to be charging you a percentage, you're never going to become 100% whole in most instances.
But I don't have to go write you a check and pay you. You know, every
Correct.
time I call you on the telephone, I'm not getting charged
You're not
20
getting-
minutes, 20 minutes or a quarter of an hour or half for a phone call or and this, that, or every
No.
letter isn't $100.
No, once you hire us, we're on board. We're in it with you. We're sharing the risk of working to get the claim paid. And the fact is that, you know, some claims get paid faster than others. And the other fact is that we're involved from the moment you hire us until we get a resolution. And there's no changing in regards to how much time. So if we put in more time, we put in more time. It's about getting to a resolution.
Do I need a certain amount of damage to my house before I call you?
In general, the fact is that it's a contingency business. So, you know, somebody calling me for a small, you know, break in their kitchen or their bathroom that's a $5,000 claim becomes very difficult for us as a law firm to be able to provide those services. Years ago, when Florida provided that there are statutory fees and the insurance company would pay whatever I was billing over and above that recovery, it made sense. Nowadays, unfortunately, like many states, the firm, you know, has to have a certain level where it's just financially not feasible for us to take on some work.
Should the homeowner make that decision, or should they call you and find out whether or not their claim is one that you would accept and handle?
No, we welcome every call. So we want them to call us. We'll discuss it with them. We'll walk it through. Sometimes even if it's an unknown, we will send somebody out there to do the initial look and evaluation if it hasn't been done already, to give us an idea of where we think the value of the case is and what we think we can do for them. And we'll tell them. Unfortunately, you know, if you've got a small claim, unfortunately, a lot of times it's not something we can do. Or in other instances, we might be able to assist with certain stages of your claim and helping you put it together for a set fee. But we're not going to go, you know, to a certain level with it because it's prohibitive, unfortunately.
Well, and of course, as you said earlier, it may almost be barred because of whatever the deductible is as part of the policy.
Right. And that's another factor is, you know, somebody comes in, they have a kitchen, a lot of times, let's say in a bathroom, a shower pan leak. If they've caught it early and they know it's there and they're accessible area to be able to rip up the floor, you might have be able to replace that shower pan and area for, you know, $10,000 or $12,000. But if you have a $5,000 deductible, then you know, what are we really going to go get for you?
Obviously, if there's a storm and a lot of people in the individual's area are also suffering damage, the speed with which assistance gets to you can vary. So it's not like, you know, having a pipe break or a tree falls through your roof. You know, that didn't happen to every house on the block. So when you have these larger catastrophes, what should the individual be doing while they're waiting to get some assistance? Is there anything they can do, or they just have to just either sit there or abandon their property? What?
No, a lot of times what's happening, you know, we've seen a wider range of scenarios. You know, you have sometimes if it's a mass area that's been affected, a lot of times these homeowners can't even get back to their property for a period of time. So in those instances, you know, there's unfortunately nothing you really can do except maybe to start the claim process so that, number one, you can get somebody scheduled for as soon as possible that they open that area to get out there and take a look. But also you be queued sort of in with the insurance company because they're gonna process the claims in sort of an order. And so if you get your claim in somewhat sooner than the next person, when they're doing they're sending their people to those areas and you're on that list already, they're going to make sure they stop and they take a look at your property.
That's just what I don't know whether quick or soon is the proper word, but how quickly should I be calling my insurance company, telling them that I'm one of the people, raised my hand, I'm one of the people that have property damage because of the storm? How fast do I have to do that?
Well, we always say within a reasonable time. So the fact is, you should be doing it sooner than later. If you know you've been affected, especially in a hurricane, if you know you've been affected, usually the carriers are a little overwhelmed. You want your phone call to be in there. You want to document that you are one of these people that's been affected.
What is reasonable? Well, my wife goes to the grocery store and I say, when are you going to be back? She says, a reasonable amount of time. Well, what? I don't know whether that means half an hour or the rest of the afternoon she's out shopping. What's reasonable?
Reasonable is reasonable. We're not going to.
Is that what, between 1 and 7 days?
It could be a longer period based on what's going on in your life. If you've been displaced and you're somewhere else and you want to wait until you go back and see your property before you want to make the claim, that's a common thing for a lot of people to do. It's not uncommon. It's not unreasonable for you to want to go back and see your property before you decide whether you need to make a claim. Other people feel, hey, I'm in the zone where the storm hit. I don't know if my roof is there or anything else, or if it's still standing, but I feel like I want the insurance company to be aware that I believe I've been affected, so that when they're in that area to take a look at the properties, I'm on their list to stop by and take a look.
Okay. Is a phone call enough at least to sort of get the clock going?
The phone call is almost, for most of the carriers, is really the only way to put in your claim.
Oh. Okay.
So, for as advanced as we are now with technology, insurance is still sort of in this this time slot where, my office spends, I have staff that do nothing but sit on a phone all day long, reporting claims, giving description of what happened, and that takes a period of time. And so you as a homeowner or property owner or business owner, you're probably going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be making a phone call and likely sitting on hold for a period of time. Some of the carriers are nice now and they have that callback service. But if you've been affected by a storm, that's a huge area of the state or city, you're going to leave a message and you may not get a call back for several days.
Well, that leads me to a thought that I have as soon as we start talking about notice, and that is, let's just, what's late notice, and what do I do when it appears that I didn't have any damage because of the storm, and a year and a half later, all of a sudden, I've got all of this mold on my walls, and my contractor comes in and says, hey, listen, not only the walls need to be replaced, but all the water is coming because you've got damage to your roof above, okay? The storm was a year and a half ago, okay? So what do I do when I'm faced with that situation? Can I still make a claim?
So every state has some different rules in regards to what they consider your time periods for reporting. Some have very strict rules, some don't. Florida, for instance, you have a 2-year window to make your claim. You then have an extended period in regards to making a supplemental claim. But, you go to Louisiana, you basically have a 1-year period to put in your claim from a storm. You have 180 days to make that initial evaluation that you want to do something. Texas has, I believe, a 2-year limit. So each state that we're in has different nuances as to sort of this, computing what is that time period. But again, when you are that person that initially you said, oh, we made it through the storm, I wasn't affected.
Yeah,
I didn't think I had anything wrong.
Everything's working. The lights go on and off. The wallpaper's still hanging up.
Right.
It's nice and pretty. But 2 years later, okay, all of a sudden everything is leaking, and the engineer says, no, you've got damage to your roof. Probably came from the storm a little over 2 years ago, but you need a whole new roof. because it's 2 years, or just past the 2 years, am I going to be barred? I can't bring a claim. I have to pay for.
If you're past in Florida past the 2 years, you're going to be barred. That's now the new law here. But let's say you're at the year mark and you have that instance of happening. So you realize, I think I have an effect on my house from the storm
Yeah.
that I didn't know about. You have a couple of problems, because clearly, first question is going to be, well, how did you not know about it? And why did you let it continue to be this situation that you now have mold? Because mold doesn't just come overnight. So that goes all into the new aspects of, how are we going to put your claim together and report it, right? How is it going to be looked at and evaluated? How are you going to show that this condition is in fact related back to the storm? And so that's about bringing in experts, individuals that can kind of go through your property and look at it and equate it with meteorologist reports, other properties that have been affected in the area, and show that it does seem to be, in conjunction with what hurricane damage would have been to the property.
Wow. Okay. I suppose, since we've talked about this, maybe we should ask the same questions on a different area. When there's a personal injury,